Hi, this is Kia, and welcome to Hot Topics Live podcast. I am so excited for this episode for you. This is one of my Dating After Divorce series episodes. So, if you have been in a long term relationship and you are back on the dating scene and you're trying to figure your life out, this episode is for you. It's also for you if you are an overthinker and when you are dating and you're out there trying to date, you are realizing that you get in your own way because your brain will not stop and you get triggered and then you get reactive and then you get like you start dealing with all of these emotions and or rumination and you want to know why you do that and how to stop and how to make the most out of the new digital dating landscape. Because let's face it, most relationships going into the future are going to happen by dating online. A large percentage, let's just say, more and more and more. And you can't escape it. So, and it's easier. And so a lot of people are doing it. And there are some benefits and drawbacks, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this episode is for you if you're in that space and you want a community and you need some support because I know I do because I'm in that space. And that's why I created this series. So if you don't know me by now, my name is Kia and I'm a coach. I have been coaching with the London Real Academy since 2019. I've coached thousands of students in all different kinds of ways. And the most important thing that I do is mindset work. And I'm a huge lifelong learner and I'm always studying too. And everything that I'm learning, I use, and everything that I use, I test out, right? And then I share it with my students, my clients, and you. So welcome and let's get started. So if you haven't seen this series, this is the ninth episode. So you'll have to go back. There's a playlist and subscribe, number one. Number two, like, share with someone who might need this information, right? Because we're all out here together in this, especially if you're like a late millennial or Gen X or above, you probably have been in a long-term relationship. You could be younger and you haven't been on the apps dating and you haven't been out in public dating. And so I go over all of that. And the first thing I start with is mindset, which is super important. The right mindset for dating is crucial and it's exhausting. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I started this to almost in a way help people as I help myself and I experienced dating and I had a relationship and it didn't work out. I mean, I'm not talking about my long-term relationship. I was married. I have 2 kids. We were together 13 years. I took a 5-year break, real tea, to work on me, right? And to love me and to not have to take care of anyone but my kids, my actual kids, and to just be and to heal, which I recommend. So if you're just coming out of relationship, before you jump into the dating world, before you're actually ready, take a beat. So if you hear screaming, my kid is home from school and he's gaming, and you know how that can be. I know a lot of you are gamers. So anyway, essentially, I took that time and you need to take it too, right? And I mean, you do what you want because we're all adults here, but I would highly recommend that you take some time to just be you, do you. Build a rich, rewarding, fulfilling life for you, whatever that means, and be in that so that the person that you bring into it is coming into something. A lot of people out here use relationships, they use it to fill a void, and that just ends up in toxicity and in breakups, honestly, a lot of times. I mean, it just ends in more hurt for you and the other person, right? And so taking that time to heal is really important. And that's not to say that you're not going to ever be fully healed. So you can and do deserve love, even if you're not healed, right? Right now, today, you deserve love and you deserve a beautiful, happy, blissful, passionate, juicy relationship, right? So, but there is some self work that needs to be done if it's going to be a healthy one, right? So keep that in mind. Now, again, I was in a relationship for a year after my long-term relationship, almost a year. And then we were kind of back and forth for a while. I was still trying to see if it could work out. There were some like weird circumstances where he went to war. And so war changes people. I'm a vet, as you many of you know. And so I know that there are some circumstances that are not the same as for civilians. And so I gave a little bit more energy there until I deemed that no more energy there was good for me. And so even sometimes when you don't want to walk away from someone, it's important to have the fortitude to walk away. And it hurts and it's sad, right? But you will get over it and you will survive. And I did. That's how I know. And a lot of the stuff I'm telling you, I know because I did. I'm not telling you anything I didn't do, right? So, with that said, I started dating and I went hard all spring and all summer until about August. And then I took a break because I had surgery, right? And so I'm so pleased to tell you that I am almost 8 weeks post op from my surgery. I had a little tummy tuck. I had an abdominal revision. I had diastasis recti, so I had to get my abs sewn back into place. So I feel amazing. I feel so much better. I feel really good. And now I'm ready to date again. So I had to take a long break to recover, is the moral of that story. And now I'm out there again. And I had a date last week and it was really fun. I actually was seeing somebody a little bit this summer for like a month and a half, maybe. And it was really cool. We had a few dates. We talked a lot, like whatever. We hung out and it was really good. So I enjoyed myself and it was fun, but it just kind of didn't work out. We sort of just drifted apart. And you know how you drift apart from someone? When they start falling off and you let them. You got to love Mel Robbins, right? How she says, let them. That's a big principle of dating. Let them and observe, right? Observe and see if it fits, if it works for you. If it's not working for you, in another episode, I forget which one it is by now, but I talked about detachment, right? And always remaining a little detached. Now, some people will tell you that that's not healthy, but I disagree because the topic today is about overthinking. And I am a former, sometimes former, overthinker. Okay. So if you're watching this, I'm just like you. All right. And I'm going to tell you what's helped me. Okay. So stick with me. Stick with me. So, um, being detached will help you to keep things in perspective because if you're an overthinker, you tend to ruminate and you get stuck in thought loops in your head over and over and over. And your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions are going to be what you base your actions off of, right? A lot of times you're going to have an emotional reaction to something, a thought that you created. And that thought might be um, a negative assumption. It's called catastrophizing. So a lot of children who grew up in neglect, this could be why you do this, right? If you had a caretaker or parent who was inconsistent with their attention and their affection, or completely neglectful 100% of the time, this is likely the cause of your overthinking. Um, and also, it doesn't necessarily mean that the parent was bad, right? I just want to make sure that that's clear. They could have just been working and not available and tired when they got home, something like that. But as a little kid, we internalize this stuff and we think it's about us. So we center ourselves, everything's centered on us. And one of the things that can help us stop overthinking is to decenter ourselves from people, right? Everyone is a sovereign being, meaning they're all doing their own thing. They're all in their own world, in their own reality, right? And until you get to know them and become part of their regular reality, you have no idea what's going on in their life. That is why when a guy starts falling off or a girl starts falling off, you may think, let me check on them. I know I can only speak for women because I'm not a man, but honeys, I do have a male coach that's going to come and do a little series with me when this one is done. Okay. And I think I have like 4 or 5 more episodes of this one, and then I'm going to wrap it up. And then we're going to go to that one. So stay tuned for that. And that one's for the fellas and is for you, a male and a female perspective on dating and how to get and sustain healthy relationships. Okay. So, that being said, let's go back to what I was talking about. So, you have to decenter yourself from other people's worlds. They're just going about their business, doing their own thing. And you think that they're thinking about you. And most people aren't thinking about you. That's why you shouldn't care what people think, because they're probably not thinking about you anyway. Right. So essentially, decenter yourself from what they're doing. Right. And what's going on with them. And don't assume that something's wrong. Right. Because that's what we do a lot of times as women. When a guy starts falling off, we think something's wrong. We're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? You know? But in a way, it's a silly game. The whole thing, the falling off, right? That the guys do or the girls do. And then you going, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? Sometimes it's a test, you know. Sometimes they're testing to see if you'll chase them, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I love a simp. Okay. So if you're trying to date me, please simp. I like a simp. If you don't know what that means, because you're like a Gen X, um, it means that someone is really like all on you. Like they're, super sweet to you, almost over the top sweet to you, doing things for you, giving you things, buying you things, doing like the top. I love that. If from the right person. Okay. From the right person. Okay. And so some girls don't like that. They're like a guy who's like detached, right? I don't really love that. I don't love it. I mean, it's okay, but I don't. I prefer a guy who's like really like makes it clear to me that he's feeling me because I'll match that energy. But let me tell you something. The minute, the minute I feel because child abuse survivors and children who had neglect and inconsistent affection growing up, we've learned to read energy, right? We read the room because it kept us safe, especially if you had a volatile household. It kept us safe. And so it's micro expressions, it's the energy, it's subtleties. We see them, we feel them. So if you've been consistently communicating and then suddenly you don't respond to my text, I go, oh no, I think I'm going to have to dump this one. And that's catastrophizing. To be honest with you, that's like, oh, just already expecting something bad to happen. And it doesn't mean anything like that at all. So, what I've learned to do is to sit back and to watch and to let them. Now, I will check in with a person who's been really consistent, who's been really sweet, who's been really nice. I'll check in with them and I'll go, hey, what's going on? And I'll be honest, because I think if you play silly games, you win silly prizes. So I'm direct these days. And I'll just say, hey, I feel a shift in energy. If you're not feeling it, it's all good. Just let me know. Is that simple? Right? I'm not afraid to lose anyone. And you shouldn't be either. That's being detached. You know why? Because I have a beautiful, creative life that I made for me. I do the things I enjoy. I exercise. I hang out with my kids. I paint. I podcast. You know, I shop. I go to the spa. Like, whatever. I do things I enjoy in my life. And so if this person wants to be in my life and part of my life, that's great. And if they decide they don't, then that's on them. It doesn't mean I don't make it mean anything, right? Because sometimes we assign meaning, and that's part of it. And that's part of why we start overthinking too, by the way, is because our mind starts to assign a story, and we start telling ourselves a story of what this means. This person didn't return my text. What does this mean? And chances are it's something that was programmed into you as a child by a caregiver who was careless or didn't know any better. And so you start thinking things like, they don't like me, or they're with someone else, or, whatever it is, right? And we start to overthink, and then we start to ruminate. And then that thought loop just goes and goes and goes and goes. And we do not know how to stop it. And what it can do is get us so emotional and so emotionally triggered and charged that we're just ready to break up with the person. We're ready to, because if you're like a fearful avoidant attachment style, you will get nervous at first and then you'll run. I've been that. So I've been anxious, I've been fearful. I'm mostly secure now. I still can get re-triggered back into some of those old ways of being. But honestly, like you will feel anxious at first and then you'll want to run. And you have to be aware of that. Like you have to come back into your body. And so that is one of the biggest ways of how to not lose yourself in rumination. Two things I just said was become aware, be mindful of what your thoughts are and what the story is you're telling yourself. That's what the biggest number one thing is. So you have to catch yourself. You have to be like, oh, I'm making this mean that this person doesn't care about me. And maybe they don't, but that's not the point. That remains to be seen. And when that is the case, then you need to be detached enough. See, just you don't attach until there's something to attach to. Let's just say that. So until this person says, hey, I want to be exclusive with you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I'm trying to build with you. Until you have that conversation, then you need to be detached. Okay. So that way, when or if something like this happens, you can catch yourself. And sometimes it's hard, I know, because you like the person. And that's part of it. There's a limerence, there's a fantasy factor involved because they seem so cool, or they seem amazing, or they were so sweet, or they were funny, or they were cool, or whatever it is for you, right? And then you start assigning like a storyline to them. So it's a lot about stories. It's the story you tell yourself about what someone else's actions mean, or it's the story you're telling yourself about who they are and what they'll be to you, kind of like their potential, but not like their potential of what they can become, their potential of what they can be in your life and what that future can look like. So that limerence comes from neglect, because a lot of times you are wishing and hoping and fantasizing about this better family life or a better life in general. So you already have that kind of ability to detach from reality and get lost in a wish or a dream, right? And so then you assign this to this person, and it makes it so hard to let them go, because it's not really the person that you're so infatuated with, it's the fantasy, right? So essentially, that makes it incredibly hard. And then we start assigning all of these stories, and we're telling ourselves meanings, and it's all going crazy in your mind, and you can't stop. So how do you stop? Well, like I said, number one, you have to recognize you're doing it. You have to catch yourself. And you know what the win is because you might not be able to just stop, like catch yourself right away, but the win is catching yourself sooner than the last time, right? So be gentle with yourself. And you catch yourself and you become aware, oh, this is what I'm doing, right? So now what? Now that you're aware, what do? Come out of your head and come into your body, come into your heart. And how do you do that? How do you get present in this present moment in your body, in your heart? You move. Move. Go for a walk. Do some exercise. do some jumping jacks, move your body. And another thing that goes hand in hand with that, move your body and then do something creative. Do something creative that takes your focus. So you have to do something that can shift your focus from that person and from all of that. And then once I think a walk, for me, a walk is like the best thing to walk my dogs or just go walk by myself or go to the gym and ride the bike and get on the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever, or take a class at the gym just to get out of my head and feel my body moving. Feel it, right? And then do something creative, like a podcast or paint or write in your journal. Everyone can write in a journal, right? Write in your journal. Something else you can do. I do video vlogs, but to myself, like a video diary. I learned that from an old coach of mine. And I will just talk everything out to myself. It's like I'm my own therapist, right? And so, and then once I get everything out, because sometimes you just need to get it out. What's in your head, you just need to get it out. So that can be a way, journaling and video diaries. Just turn on Zoom or on your phone, record or whatever, and or a voice recorder and talk to yourself. If you have ADHD and you're an auditory, you're neurodivergent, let's just say, and you are an auditory processor, this can be so, so, so beneficial. Okay. Because if you're an overthinker and you have ADHD, oh my God. I have what they used to call ADD, right? Right. Then the girl version, like where it's like just in my mind, the hyperactivity is not in my body. Although I wish it would be, because I would be all over the place and probably super, super fit. Super, super fit. So one of the things you can do is when you're an overthinker too, like I talked about being detached, was keep living your life. So let's say, for example, you go out on a date and they're like, yeah, I want to see you again and blah, blah, blah. And then they just fall off, because that's what it is. Like people just fall off, right? Um, Maybe they just didn't like you that much, or unfortunately, that sucks and it hurts. It does hurt. Trust me, it does hurt. There's been a couple of guys that I thought, I could go out. Like I'm super picky, and I think I've talked to like, I don't know, probably 90 something guys, and I've been on 4 dates in person and probably like a handful of video dates. Um, And there's been like, I think 3 of them that I was like, you know what? I could keep seeing this person and see how it goes. Because my mindset is date to date, right? The first date is good. I'll agree to a second one. The second date is good. I'll agree to the third one. And we just like go like that and see how it builds up, right? I think most people are like that, right? Not just me, but some people will be like, okay, we went on a date and now we have a whole future. Like, you don't do that. Well, another thing you can do, is that will help you keep living your own life and focusing on your life. And if that person chooses to be in your life, they will be. They'll make sure, male or female, they'll make sure. I know that there's a lot of pressure on guys these days, to be honest with you, to do everything in the relationship for the most part, at least starting it. Like, and I do, and I'm not gonna lie, like I love a man who is proactive and consistent and who plans dates and like takes the ball and runs with it, and I don't have to do that stuff. I like that. That's my preference. Although I'm not a girl who never texts a guy first. Some girls will not text a guy first. I will text him. If we've been like if he's been texting me and we've been having a conversation back and forth and I'm starting to feel like a little comfortable with him, I'll text him first, you know. Also, oh, let's go back to this. If a guy is falling off, I will text him. I will text him once, cuz I don't chase. So, I don't chase. I think it's a little bit better for guys to chase women to an extent than it is for women to chase men. And some guys will test you to see if you'll chase them, and I don't chase. I don't chase. That's a young girl's game. Okay? Like I'm too old to be chasing men. All right. I understand what I bring to the table. I know who I am as a person and I know what a gift I am in everyone's life that knows me. If you know me, you know that's true. If you spend time with me, you know what it's like to be with me. So I know what I'm what I'm working with, right? And you should too know what you're working with. And if someone doesn't value that, then they don't belong in my life, right? And sometimes it's hard because you want them to be. But the truth of the matter is, when you boil it down, if they're not appreciating your value and who you are, and they don't see it as valuable, then why would you want them? You have to like disconnect, which I mean, be detached. So, one way, other than having a great life of your own, so you're not feeling empty or you're not feeling a void. I mean, obviously, you're like, oh, I'd like to go out with someone. I like someone next to me in bed. I'd like this stuff. But for the most part, you're very happy and content in your life. So you have to create that, right? We talked about that already. But the other thing is multiple dating. I suggest dating at least two people at a time, especially if you're an anxious attacher or you're an overthinker, because it will take the pressure off that one person. And that energy can be overwhelming. If people are energy sensitive, they can feel all of the expectations and aspirations and hopes that you have on them, right? And sometimes it's overwhelming. So it's good to divide that energy and just, hey, let the best man win. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to show up in the way that makes me feel safest, most confident, and secure in a relationship? Because if I feel confused, it ain't it. If I don't know where I stand with you, it ain't it. It's time for me to detach and start withdrawing my energy. But I like to be courteous, right? So you can steal this from me if you want to. Okay. I will date typically two guys at a time. On occasion, I date more guys than that at a time. Um, or I'm talking to. I might only be going out with one of them, but I'm talking to another guy online or on the phone or something. I don't do a lot of talking on the phone or texting. I do that to arrange the dates, so a little bit, a little bit of talking and texting just, to build some camaraderie, but mainly talking on the phone and texting for me is to schedule dates because I prefer to get to know someone in person. And I highly suggest you do the same. Don't be yapping and building a relationship through a text. That's not a relationship. A relationship is in person. Even if you met online, you have to bring it into reality. You have to bring it into face to face. Even if you're at a distance, you have to bring it into face to face. You just have to. So, physical proximity is so important. Physical touch, so important. Okay, so dating multiple people will help you keep your mind off of one person and overthinking that one person. Now, sometimes it sucks because both people turn out to be assholes. Then you scrap it and you deal with that. You process those emotions 24 hours, punch air, scream, kick, cry, go for a walk. Right? And then you get back up on the horse, honey, and you get back out there and you start talking to more people. You go out on more dates. And eventually, like I said before in a previous episode, it's the law of averages. The more people you talk to, the more people you connect with, eventually one of them is going to stick, right? One of you are going to really vibe, and you'll learn a lot along the way. I certainly have learned a lot about men along the way and navigating relationships along the way, and myself too. And it's been a lot of more healing actually in the dating, because sometimes you can only do so much healing, actually all the time. You can only do so much healing on your own. You need to get into a relationship, and a lot of healing occurs within that. So, like I said, multiple dating will help you to remain a little bit detached so that you can see what's up. And if a guy or a girl is falling off, I give them a courtesy, right? One courtesy text or call to see what's going on, to see what's up. And after that, I go silent. The ball's in their court, especially if I text them last. The ball is in their court. They will do with that what they want. Will they drop the ball or will they slam dunk it? Or they kick that goal? You know, I don't know. Sometimes it could go either way. So here's the thing that I want you to think of before I wrap this up, because it's gotten a little longer than I wanted it to be. A relationship is like dessert. And if you keep that in your mind, it will help you. Your life is dinner, okay? It's your healthy, nutritious meal, right? Or if you would like a glass of wine, you know, a relationship can be like that, or a dessert, whichever you prefer. It's something you don't need, but it's delicious. And you want it. Okay. So it complements the meal, right? But you don't have to have it. And you can get up and leave the table and not have dessert, especially if it's not a dessert you like or if it's not tasting good. Might have looked good, but it's not working out, right? So you have to be able to be detached enough to walk away. You have to be able to say, damn, that sucks. I kind of liked him or her. But you got to go silent. You can't accept disrespect. And falling off is disrespectful, right? They said this, they told me that. My friend, I had this friend, she was a roommate of mine, and she used to live with me, and she would date these guys, and she'd be like, and when it wouldn't work out, she would be like, but he told me this, and he told me that, and he said in the future we would do this. And I'd be like, girl, he was just saying that because he was like, trying to get with you. You know what I mean? Like maybe he meant it in the moment. I'm not saying that he was lying. And I'm sure lots of guys and girls are not lying when they're thinking that stuff in that moment. But you have to wait and see. So in your mind, you have to have this thing that's like, I'm going to wait and see. Okay. That's me. I'm always smiling. I'm going to give all my tea, my secrets. I'm always just smiling and like, okay, okay. Yeah, sure. That's that's me on a date. And so, but in my mind, I'm like, "Mhm, sure. We'll see." And you might think that's jaded, but it's not. It helps me, I tell you. It helps me to be tempered in my approach because 'cause I'm like, "Sure, I'll go out with you again, date 2." And they'll be like, "Oh, we'll do this in the future and we'll do that, and I'm looking for a relationship and I don't wanna be single anymore." And for a lot of women, they'll be, like, hearing that, like my friend and my ex-friend, we're not friends anymore. And so that's another story I might do a podcast about. But, and it's like, you hear that and you're all, "Oh my gosh," and that's where the fairy tale starts coming in, right? "Oh my gosh, like, he's talking about the future with me. He's doing this. He wants to," and you're like, "Oh, okay." You know, not to say that sometimes guys are gonna disappoint you. They're gonna make mistakes, and we don't wanna, or girls, and we don't wanna, like, maybe they might fail a test. Maybe you're a guy that tests women, right? You're gonna see if she chases you. You might think that one text that I send is me chasing until I never talk to you again. But the fact of the matter is, people are not perfect. And so we have to give them a little bit of room to be human. to not be perfect, but we also have to have boundaries and standards. And that's more important than ever after you've been in a relationship that failed. Because let's face it, a lot of us are getting older. This might be the last relationship that we're in. We have to be careful. We have to choose really wisely because it could be the last one. So, anyway, in conclusion, because I'm going to wrap this up, give love to yourself first and foremost, always. If you are overthinking, I hope this helped you. Don't catastrophize. Don't make it mean something. Just wait and see. Wait it out. Give it time. Give deadlines. I give myself deadlines all the time. If a guy that I have been talking to doesn't call me back, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know his life. I give it a week, and before I start like really detaching from it. Right. And I don't say anything. I might text him or call him one time in a few days, like 3 or 4 days into it and see what's up. And then if I don't hear anything, then I just write it off. If he materializes back in my experience, back in my reality, and I liked him enough, we may continue. If not, say la vie. It's life. Then you know what you do? Go to the spa if you can, because not everybody can afford that. But like, do something for you. Move your body, create something, do something you love doing. Okay. Get from your head into your body, into your heart. And when you're in your heart, pour that love that you wanted to give so desperately to that person into you. Into you. Pour it into you. Give it to yourself. Go get your hair done. Go get your nails done. Go buy yourself a new outfit. You know, write in your journal, paint a picture, draw something, write a song, play your guitar, like whatever it is you do. Or take a class, take something, learn something, get a coach. Right? And turn that pain and that disappointment into joy for yourself. Spend time with your friends, your family, your loved ones. Don't sit alone thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. Get out of that energy. Go for a walk on the beach, in the woods, like a hike. Go swimming, like do something you love doing. Go ice skating. Like that's what I do. Right. So it's ice skating season for me again soon. I'm excited. Now that I'm recovered from my surgery, I have to get cleared and then I'm going to ice skate again. But these are the things you give it to yourself. And the more it hurts, the more love you give to yourself. And write it all out in your journal or say it all in your video vlog or go to therapy or do something that makes you feel relief. But don't keep catastrophizing and assuming the worst because a lot of times it's not. Somebody might just have had something going on in their life and they just didn't get back to you and they'll be back. But if you make it mean something and you have a big reaction and then you lash out and you're like, okay, fuck this guy, whatever. Oop, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. F this guy, right? Or girl. I'm a woman. What can I tell you? And I identify as she, and I'm, straight. So I don't know what to tell you. Um, so yeah, give yourself the love that you wanted to give them and get out of your head, right? If you're gonna be in your head, be in there creating something amazing, right? If you're in your head, start telling yourself how awesome you are, how amazing you are. Go on to YouTube. There's so many affirmations out there that you can listen to and reprogramming and stuff like that you can do. If you're gonna be in your head, do that. Spend the time reprogramming your negative self-concept or your negative beliefs and examine why you think this person wouldn't like you or didn't like you or whatever. And even if they didn't, why you give a crap that much, right? Because you should be believing in you and loving you. I don't know if you can hear my son screaming. He's screaming so loud. So you should be loving yourself and telling yourself wonderful things. So what if they didn't like you? It's their loss. what I am always like, it's not me, it's them. Like, that gives me a giggle. It makes me feel better. So, anyway, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up, but I need to give somebody a shout out. So, hold on. Before I do, you remember my pinup, right? Right? There's a link in the description. Follow me on Instagram if you want to connect with me and all of that stuff. Here's my one from last Halloween. I'm shooting a Halloween photo shoot this weekend. I'm super excited about it. And one last thing before I wrap it up, I want to give a shout out to somebody. So on my Instagram at Creativity, right? Hold on, you guys. Oh yeah, you guys, really quick, support my friend Eris Health on Instagram. She is creating a mental health app, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so it's not out yet. Okay, but you can watch the journey. You can see her building it up. You can see her growing on Instagram. She's just getting started. She's another company called Eris Sisters. That one's way bigger, but this one is the new thing. So go and support her. Tell her Kia sent you. Okay, since you're going to be on Instagram anyway, looking for me. And if you want to find me on there, all of that stuff, okay, right there. And okay, so what was I telling you? My kids here. Hold on a second, sweetie. I'm almost done. Now, so on my Instagram, I have my following is growing for my pinup, right? I'm so proud of that. And so I have lots of really cool fans, actually. I can't even believe that. And I have one. He is so supportive. And he wrote a comment on one of my posts this week that he follows me on here and he follows everything that I do. And that's like a real fan. Like that's like a almost like a friend fan, right? He goes by #MRJ, Mr. J. And I just wanted to give you a very special shout out just in case you can't catch this episode of Hot Topics Live podcast. And I want to tell you, like, to you, thank you. I really appreciate you. I have the sweetest fans. Everyone writes me the kindest things. And if they're not kind, it's a joke, right? And we laugh about it. So like if they like play troll me, it's so cute. I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed and I'm grateful because I'm just getting started and I started this late in life and I can't even believe people just love it, right? Um, so that said, you can find the links to buy the magazines in my bio on Instagram. Okay. And I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for your support and all the love and commenting on all my posts and like giving true like feedback about my pictures and just loving everything that I do and supporting all my social channels. In fact, I'm on TikTok as well now, all the same things on TikTok as on Instagram. I should update. I will update that because I'm on both. And I just really appreciate and love everybody who supports me here on YouTube, on Instagram, with this podcast, with the Female Veterans podcast as well. And I just love you guys so much. So thank you. And I will see you. I have another episode tomorrow. We're going to be talking about magic mushrooms. Yes, honey. Don't judge. Come watch. Come learn. If you're seeing this after it was live, find it in the playlist. It'll be there. And I love you guys. I will talk to you next time.